at the moment are sitting on Dust 2. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, we might just jump into that, but of course, explain the veto system. It's actually changed this season. I'm a fan of this.
Yeah, probably the best description I can give you is that there's a map pool of 7. The teams eliminate them down to a selection of 3 maps, and then they play those maps.
You spud. I am talking about the differences between the veto and the ban system. Now,
right. Of course, with the different seeds, they will, I guess, by process of elimination, I do believe this season they veto one apiece, pick one apiece, and then veto down to a final map. But the point Jim is trying to make, whilst they might mock him slightly, is the fact that the key difference is that in previous seasons and in previous competitions, we've actually seen teams have that opportunity to double veto at the start, which almost...
Oh, my game just crashed.
Oh, that's good, mate. It almost allows teams to focus on a smaller map pool and practice, whereas that ban pick forces the teams to be a little bit more adept at the wider map pool. But looks as though Dust 2 will be our first map. It's a race against the clock here. Jim's never been the fastest person in CS or IRL, so I'll be curious to see whether he does get back in time for the pistol round, but I can confirm Chiefs will be starting out on the CT side. And Jim, how are you going right there?
I'm getting it done. Some of us are, of course, you know, I do have more responsibility than you in this broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know how that's worked out because clearly you struggle with that. But we do see Chris, Mungo, Dexter, Destiny, and Burn. Are you okay? Just sitting up on the defensive side for Sequential. It is PZ Kid, Echo, Dioxide, Wizard, and Raz, or R42. Using the numbers and symbols appropriately to spell out Raz. But we do see Mungo there getting the drop onto Echo, and that early long presence from Sequential hasn't really done them much good there as they do decide to take that aim duel. But of course, with the USPs that the CTs do have, that long range is going to prove to be effective. Destiny, I hope you can see what I can see because he pushed up mid, he's on the lurk and actually only converts one frag there. So not the best start to his tenure here in Chiefs, with a couple of shots there and perhaps a round he might like to forget. We now find ourselves in a 4-on-3 and Chiefs have a lot of information here.
Well, one person who doesn't have a lot of information is me because I'm still waiting for this Go TV.
Oh, you still can't actually see what you're saying. Okay.
No, there's about 5,000 PNGs that I've got to download before I enter.
Well, that's not good. In any case, Sequential has now slowed down. It's all down to Raz at this point. I think Destiny's probably breathing a sigh of relief that no one actually saw, apart from myself, him whiffing those shots wildly, having lurked at Dust 2, got behind those doors, and as the T's ran back out long, having taken that early map control. They weren't expecting him to be there, and he didn't make the best job of it. He's only got one before he did go down. At the moment, Raz is doing a fantastic job here. Just stalling for time, waiting until Jim has managed to configure his computer, and Raz does go down appropriately. Thank you very much.
Just in time to end the pistol round, of course. The game actually crashed out. The client crashed out, so unfortunately, not too much I could do in that instance. Thank you for radio casting that one. I'm sure you brought plenty of excitement to what was just an overlay of the standings. Now, Chiefs do take that pistol round, of course, with some gusto, but SQL just on a bit of a pistol buy. They do make it work, though, so Raz actually picks up the first frag onto Destiny, trying to peek into short, and they're going to continue on their charge out mid to B. This train is just rolling right through, but Dexter does his best to try and cut them down, but HPs are a massive factor. It's great out from Burn. Absolute killing floor.
Let's be real though, I think about all 4 of those terrorists had about a combined HP of about 20, so whilst they did get 4 in the end, I think it was more of the fact that his teammates had chimed in, but that's a nice way to start off the CG season. Burn already accelerating up to 6 frags on the score, but he'll be happy with that.
Padding those stats.
Oh, it's the best time to do so on an anti-eco round. Less risk involved.
And they haven't, as a result of not getting any bomb plant down, no doubt, but not being able to buy into this round, SQL. In fact, they've just gone for Glocks on this round. So, a very cautious approach. Objective here will be just to get the bomb down, but with no utility, this is potentially another slaughter.
A bit surprised, though, to see the terrorists split up as they are, to be honest. I mean, you called it quite rightly. That now we'll have a couple of them making their way into B, and Burn eventually does get the couple, so he's trying to maximise his quota here on these 2 anti-eco rounds. But you can see 2 moving now out at long, and I think the intent here is Mungo does sweep the floor with them. Only Raz left to contend with, but Raz actually does a really good job there of connecting onto his head. He looked as though it was a double fake setup. You saw 2 members there trying to commit to that B site, almost trying to sell that story, and 2 members delaying their attack out long, almost trying to present it as though they were faking B and attacking A, only for the bomb to then subsequently lurk B if you followed that. So a double fake setup. In the end, it proved them no good. They went down without much of a fight. Chiefs now moving on to this first gun round, had that 3-0 lead.
That's right, and For the overlay there, not too much action happening just yet, but they've gone for 5 rifles, SQL. A bit more of a mobile setup, bit fast as that. PZ Kid actually catches Dexter out in short. Is traded well there by Mungo, so it is 4 versus 4 at this point in time. They are just very aggressive, SQL, quite early on. They've wrestled control back of mid from Chiefs, and now will just set themselves up for the remainder of the round.
I really like this. I think that 1-for-1 trade does favour them in the sense that they've got mid territory. I think that's really important on Dust 2. They'll now actually push their way out long and perhaps try and pincer that A site. You can see Mungo at the moment almost caught in no man's land where he has a lot of responsibility to hold short, but not many options in the way of retreating. After potentially he does spot them out, it will be Deoxide who really works his way up short, potentially takes that jewel, but Mungo does win out with that for Mass. Great frag, they're really important to it'll now allow the CTS here, Jim, just to focus on that one choke point in the form of long.
Right, they're going to have to focus on it too. Looking at that, the bomb is making its way across. Smokes are up, but of course, Destiny replies with 2 swift frags. I thought there was 2 headshots in that, but nonetheless, good spray transfer from him. Nice and easy. And of course, Chiefs extending their lead 4-0.
I think this is probably the ideal sort of matchup for Chiefs to start off their Division 1 campaign. We said that there's obviously a lot of talent in Sequential, but a lot of the players themselves are, when I look at this team, very individualistic sort of players. I think they have a lot of individual talent, but I'm not sure if they necessarily gel well together. I think that's the sort of matchup, as Wizard gets a nice kill there, that will really favour Chiefs during their development process, when they're still getting a new IGL involved, new, I guess, experienced leadership structure in the team. I think tonight's match will help these guys out. Mungo doing a good job there, pushes through long, actually guarantees a double for himself using that UMP to full effect as he really racks up that SMG money bonus. All of a sudden Echo's the last member alive, and whilst he has a P90, that's about all he's got.
Right, as you said, Mungo making that sick UMP Skrilla, but Echo has to reclaim the bomb here first, and, well, actually does manage to do so. I might pinch it and get away into this A site and get the bomb plant, so a decent result here for SQL if he can manage to do so. They are just letting him have it too as well. They're quite far away, quite cautious of his position. So, good work to Echo, getting that bomb down. It's not all bad news for them, but that flash certainly was not of optimal outcome. It will just be cleaned up there. The defuse will come in. Chiefs, of course, get that 5th round. It almost seemed like a foregone conclusion. But that plant allows SQL to stimulate their own economy.
Yeah, I actually don't like that play there by Chiefs. Really, really passive, allowed that plant to come in, but I think ordinarily, perhaps if Echo was on full HP, maybe I can understand the fact that they wanted to be quite cautious, but one of those players who went down would have known that they'd actually tagged Echo down quite low. Obviously, he wouldn't have been able to check his console and see the exact damage, but would know from tagging a few bullets onto him and seeing the blood gush out of him that potentially was an easy frag there. Maybe would have liked to see a bit more aggression from Chiefs and push home the strong start that they've got off to.
It's interesting. We've seen Chriso AWP before for Chief, and he's got that gun for himself at the moment, and has picked up the first frag of the round, so I actually quite like this. Now, we saw it, funnily enough, in the IEM Type A qualifiers, that Chriso was actually picking up that AWP, and it turned out to be a really good decision for them, so I'm glad to see that has continued over, but some pressure coming out mid here from SQL, gets eliminated by Raz. Oh, Destiny gets eliminated in return, so it is a 4 versus 3, but look at the map territory that SQL have. It's not too much at all.
Yeah, they're also losing a couple of members, aren't they? So in this 3-on-4 situation, it's going to be quite tough here. The best thing that they can do is perhaps trying to group up and try and isolate one of the CTs, perhaps try and use their utility to make a wall and try and take those 1v1 duels. But as it is, they're still very much split up on their approach here. Echo is actually in short, and whilst he might be regrouped here in the form of PZ Kid, who quickly follows suit and meets up with him, the bomb is at the moment in the B tunnel, so I'm a little bit confused even watching the overlay as to what these guys are up to at the moment, and to me it just reeks as though potentially that sort of mid-round, broken round situation that we often refer to is not going to bode well for SQL tonight. Perhaps their best chance is just moving with a lot of pace and a lot of aggression to start off the rounds. You can see at the moment Burn just in the window, and quite ironically, as I do say that, throws a Molotov, trying to burn an enemy, but it will be the B defense that will now be tested. Perhaps if he'd saved that, it would now be a better position to hold this B attack.
Right, great Molotov timing there as well, just burning more crucial seconds as Christo does take down one before he is cut short. Echo, the last one alive, and will have to go 1 versus 2 against the 2 remaining Chiefs members. He can't afford to mess around though. 6 seconds remain as he gets that bomb down, and now both Mungo and Dexter, funnily enough, the ex-SYF combo, are going to have to retake.
Well, they moved up quite quickly here, and Dexter, I think, just scouted out, trying to find out where he is, and I think Echo almost assumed that he was actually going to step through the window there because he let off a few shots. His position was known, and as a result, Mungo and Dexter, two S-Wave teammates, able to capitalise and take him down there. I think that little gun barrel that stuck through the window there as Dexter tried to suss out if he was below the bomb boxes, or below the window next to the bomb boxes, rather, was enough of a hint or a suggestion there for Echo to let loose and ultimately died. 6-0, Chiefs looking really good here.
And now we see an AWP coming out from SQL. Dioxide actually picking that up. We've seen him take up that AWP before, but at times, as we've seen, he's also struggled with it. Now, Chriso has retained that AWP from the last round, and just a really default round coming out, as you can see on the overlay here. They've actually sent Pizzy Kid out mid quite early, and does take down Destiny, not aware that that potential presence was coming through. Now, Dexter's actually pushed that smoke there at long. I'm not a massive fan of that play at all, and he's left his team short. As funnily enough, they do hit short. The T-Pain strat short AE, but now the two remaining members of Chiefs are going to have to try and save their own guns here, because I don't think a retake is going to be possible.
I think Chiefs will be really disappointed with that round. I mean, to be honest, it was just the fact that PC Kid had strolled out mid and caught Destiny off guard. I think that spot that Destiny was in, boosted on the box, is fantastic when the smokes are laid down, allowing you to pick over and potentially shut down a mid attack or a mid to B split. But when there's not much smoke there in the way, your dome can be found without much resistance there, as PC Kid proved. Burn narrowly dancing with death there, is actually walking outside the long tunnel. He will take down Wizard. Crucially, though, that will be information to the terrorist team as to Burn's position here, and I think it's actually going to allow PC Kid to backtrack to where he was headed. He was actually going towards T-Spawn and decides to do a U-turn, comes back and rips Burn's head off for good measure. Good work there by PC Kid. He's done a great round there. The first frag and the final frag for his team scores.
The bookends to that round. But as you can see by the scoreboard, there's some work being put in across the board. SQL secured their first round, and as we said, it's not uncommon though to see people in that same position Destiny was in. Funnily enough, just sit in a corner and duck. So I think a lot of the European teams that we've been watching have been utilising a strategy like that, and just having someone else with eyes on mid also helps as well. But look at this aggression coming out from Chiefs. Dexter straight out onto the catwalk, and he's got a lot of information there that they're not quite in mid, and in fact this is a very long, heavy strategy. Mungo, though, is under a lot of pressure here. In fact, he's trapped at that box as SQL pressure him there. That Molotov means he has to get out. Easy frag for Dioxide as he does pick him up, and that bomb is making its way towards A through long.
Yeah, it's 2 rounds in a row now, isn't it, that SQL have done a great job getting that early frag without much of a challenge, to be honest. But like you said, they will commit to the A side at the moment, though. Destiny and Dexter holding strong. The new in-game leader grabbing a doubling for himself to two-piece feed, and all of a sudden we now find ourselves in a 2-on-2. Dioxide does take a lead shot there, but great reactions mean he will take down Chriso, the newfound AWPer for this Chiefs life-up, and Echo will convert there. That nice headshot onto Burn will seal the deal. 2 rounds in a row for SQL. Whilst they're closing out the round, so the real worrying sign in these last 2 rounds for Chiefs has been the fact that SQL have just found a way to stroll into choke points almost undetected and pick off these frags.
Yeah, the CTs with very little information as to what's going on, and these Ts are almost creeping up on them, or allowed to creep up on them, with Chiefs being seemingly unsuspecting. So, interesting round coming out as we do see a P250 buy from Chiefs. They are forced to eco this one as a result of losing the last 2, and that's how fragile the city economy is.
Don't you think it's strange that the P250 is actually a worse gun than the P90, despite 250 being a much larger number than 90?
And they call you the smarter one. Bus. Jesus.
So they do call me that.
Well,
it's not
actually,
just myself.
No, it's actually just a self.
No, you acknowledge that there were multiple, but in any instance, I'll let that thought simmer away for the listeners out there. That interesting prospect, no doubt. But Chiefs here on an eco. They have taken 1 frag. Actually, no, they haven't. They've been the victims, I should say. Wizard there grabbing a nice double for himself. Nice to see Wizard back in action. You know, that had to sit out a little bit at the end of last year. Had some surgery they had to get done and wasn't able to play Counter-Strike for a short period of time. And it's fantastic to have him back. Of course, former Direwolves player. Also Chiefs at one point, which is quite ironic to now see this matchup up against the Chiefs organisation. But fantastic to have him back. It's always great to keep our scene alive and thriving with some experienced players and some talented players alike.
Well, I'm glad at least it's the players that are talented in this particular iteration. But Chriso, just trying to find himself a frag here. Let's catch Dioxide, but of course Dioxide just aim punching him to oblivion there. And we'll see Chiefs with the money to buy. And well, I would be interested to see whether or not Chriso actually does pick up the AWP again, but they're taking their time to make this decision, Chiefs.
Yeah, the pause has come in.
They did make a pause
have
late.
The tack pause. Yeah, it was a late pause. We can see at the moment though, one of the interesting storylines for me, and one of the probably internal thoughts slash internal monologues that I was having with myself coming into this match would be how well Dexter would perform with the new IGL responsibilities. At the moment, he's on the bottom of the scoreboard. I know it's early days. Has 4, 2, and 6 reading left to right as we currently do in the English language. But I know that he was quite open, Jim, on Twitter leading up to this match, saying that he was really excited about the prospect of being the IGL, that he thought it actually would accelerate his game in terms of it would make him a smarter player. He liked the fact that he now had more control over the game, and especially at this high level of Counter-Strike, he thought it was a real positive to the team. But what about the negatives sometimes that we do see coming with that responsibility? Maybe speak to that as a former player with a lot of struggles on the scoreboard yourself.
I did in-game lead successful teams in Queensland, if that's what you're trying to allude to.
Sure.
Of course, it's not always easy being the in-game leader, much like it is not always easy being your co-caster. Certainly the things that come out of your mouth do frustrate as much as some of the situations you find yourself in, often muttering yourself for information for the team. But look at this B-rush coming in. Burn, spraying, not connecting too much there at all, tagging them down quite a lot here, SQL. They do get themselves into this site. The smokes will come out. They are locking the CTs out one by one, but Dexter does get caught by PZ Kid there in the window, or should I say Destiny. And now they will get this bomb plant. Chiefs, though, are just weighing up whether or not to go for this retake, but if you look at the HPs, this could be a massive factor here for SQL.
I think probably more so the decisive factor was the issue that Chiefs had 2 AWPs in hand of the 3 surviving members to its sniper rifle. Having to take those potential close quarter duels if they were to go for that B retake, funneling through the window, funneling through the doors, even dark, mind you. It would be very, very difficult despite some shotgun AWPing attempts for the CTs to win that round. And whilst they do make the correct decision here, in the context of this match, it's actually SQL. It's actually done a fantastic job in terms of regaining momentum. Dexter looks to save that AWP. He has found one frag. But I think from an SQL perspective, when you look at what they've actually been doing to win these rounds, they've just done a fantastic job of just isolating those aim kills. And I think just Chiefs unable to adapt at the moment. Their CT side's still very fresh with this new lineup of players. The rotations aren't quite there at the moment, and they're not supporting each other as well as I would like to see for these guys.
That too, and I mean, it is the factor that it is Dust 2. It is a terrorist-sided maps slightly. The rotation times between the two sites are quite lengthy at best, particularly when you are, as Chiefs are doing, trying to hold down long. But they've gone for a little bit of a different setup here. They've actually gone for that B-rush again, funnily enough, SQL, and they're going to test Burn again in this B site. Catching him off guard. Raz darts around that box, does actually find the frag onto Burn with the UMP, funnily enough, so they're buying whatever they can. They're still getting into the sites.
Yeah, where's the support coming in there from the Chiefs members? We just saw an all-out B aggression on a gun round. Normally that is the bread and butter of a CT defensive team, being able to lock that down and really at their own mercy just slaughter away those terrorists. But as it was, the Raz found a fantastic way to win that 1v1 duel with the UMP, and now CT's locked out of the bomb site again, faced with the prospect of having to go for a difficult retake or potentially save those weapons. Again, with 2% in hand, I think that's forced their hand, so to speak, as they do run away from CT spawn. Raz, the man who opened up this round, will funnel through trying to drop as many weapons as possible. But Chiefs at the moment not supporting each other well, and the scoreboard reflecting that as they've now lost 5 rounds in a row, despite a few nice exit frags here. That's all it is. It does a lot to buff up the padding, or to pad up the frags on the scoreboard, but doesn't do much in the way of winning your rounds.
That it doesn't, is those frags there weren't high impact frags. I think that's more to what we're alluding to. They're simply just exit frags and trying to damage a T economy that's absolutely flourishing at the moment. If you look at the overlays there, you do see 12k on Dioxide, and he's actually carrying an AWP as well. So interesting that PZ Kid's going for a scout in this instance. I'm not too sure what the reasoning is behind that, but a double Molotov into upper dark, just burning some utility when they don't need to here, but just really, if anything, that says to me how cautious they are of now being caught off guard by SQL. SQL have changed the tempo, and Chiefs are just trying to adjust at the moment. Mungo does find the first frag. Dioxide, though, does step to try and trade him. Narrowly missing with the timing there on that AWP, but he does catch out Dexter in A, so they do get a trade of some sort. It's not the trade that they wanted, but it's a trade that it'll take nonetheless.
Needless death there from Dexter. I mean, he had the AWP. He didn't need to strafe around on that wide angle as he did. Dioxide there doubles up. Great work there from the Xbox Seminole player. Deoxide do as he's tagged up for some reason tonight, doing a fantastic job for his team in this round. Mackenzie Destiny quick to try and rotate towards that A side, does a good job there of actually catching out Raz the Lurker in lower dark. The terrorists for their part are all positioned at long at the moment. Chiefs trying to somehow stem this stream roll that SQL have found themselves in. They will make their way across the outside at the moment. Blizzard does get the drop, and with the support of PZ, he takes down Destiny there, so good work. And we'll also hit that fragment to burn. That's a really important kill to now allow them potentially that opportunity to get that bomb down. Chriso coming in with the AWP, and despite saving in previous rounds, perhaps this is the opportunity he now sees to go for it, but having missed that first shot, having taken a little bit of damage, he's now almost second guessing himself as he falls back towards CT spawn. Another round potentially going SQL's way as they now start to chase that AWP in hand, and as they get that frag, the scores draw level, and SQL are really on a roll at the moment. They can do no wrong. Chiefs not playing well as they've suddenly relinquished their strong start.
It's interesting too. I mean, it started out with simply just not having information on what the teams were doing, allowing them to walk out into choke points. But now it's all-out rushes that SQL are simply implementing and catching them off guard. Essentially, Chiefs, what they need to do is they need to shore up these bomb sites early on, and well, SQL are just trying to make an absolute menace of themselves at the moment. It is a much slower round though. Of course, with Chiefs buying into this round, this is potentially going to work into their favour. It's important though that they keep eyes on all those choke points and don't allow them to walk out unchecked.
Well, they're trying to do that at the moment. You can see both Burn and Chris almost doubling up, watching that dog canal there in B, just making sure that none of the T's, in this case Raz, can walk out. But I don't like these guys actually opting for that double AWP setup that we saw in previous rounds. I'm not sure they've got the AWPers in the team to make that work, and it's such a heavy financial burden. You can see it made them, I guess, save their guns on so many occasions already this half. I prefer this, just Dexter now with an AWP in hand, and I think Crusoe opting to go for that rifle, I think is staple gun that we've seen in Australian Counter-Strike. S2L here moving their way towards short, but the bomb has been left at top of mid-gym, so some time left before they do commit, I think.
Right, and obviously the option to fall back if need be, but just gets flashed into lower dark, so at least some teamwork is starting to occur. Destiny does have, I guess, a little bit more freedom at the moment to do what he needs to do, but they're going to walk out mid. Destiny does find one frag, not able to find a second before he's quickly traded out. Echo, though, in the meantime, has actually got down through short into CT spawn, and this is where the pressure is going to be applied to this B site, though. Dexter does find one frag, Burn finds another from the window, and this is working well now for Chiefs. They're starting to dismantle this this hit, but still danger here as they hit that B site.
Well, Raz is on to inch his way out at the moment, but he now only has one other teammate to support him. Burn does spot his head. Dexter with a nice flick shot there. The flick of the wrist takes down Deoxide, and Raz lucky to get away with his life. Actually pushing through the smoke, of course, with the X-ray. We could see that Dexter's crosshair was on him, but he wasn't to know that that bomb is now recovered. But the time has expired, and as Raz throws his AK, actually picks up the AWP in hand and does win that duel, and crucially does stay alive as well. Great work there by Raz, despite the fact that his team lost that round. Ultimately, S2L running out of time.
And huge losses for Chiefs there in the financial game. Look at their money. They're not covering their win bonus at all. 3-6, 3-5. That was the common money situation among Chiefs, and they're just forced now to go with, as you term, suboptimal guns. But look at this B rush coming in. That Molotov will make them rethink it, or at least one of them rethink it, as they do force their way through. That smoke does dissipate it, and Wizard finds the entry onto Burn. PC Kid onto Destiny on the other side of the map, and now Chiefs again struggling with the change of tempo here from SQL. As Dexter does find 1-2 through the smoke before he's able to get away, and at least lessens the impact at the moment. But PC Kid is a very active lurker here. It could be a massive factor as he does find Dexter outside the site. And now, in the meantime, in the confusion, Mungo is left in upper dark with really a 3 versus 1 situation that does not favour him at all.
He does have FAMAS and a kit. Looks as though he's potentially going for this round, recognising that it's very late in the half, and his team, I think, would be struggling to buy next round in any case. You can see, actually, the T's recognising the time is quite low. Actually trying to exit through dark, and Mongo gets the first, doesn't connect on the second, though. Deoxide at close range with that Rec 9. Does take him down. Good work there by S12, resetting the economy of Chiefs. 7-0.
Yeah, and at such a pivotal time, too. I mean, the last round of the half, but it hasn't been a bad half from Chiefs. I think we need to reiterate that. It is the CT side on D2.
I think the scoreline is respectable. I think the way that they're playing at the moment is bad. We've seen them lose 2 all-out B rushes from SQL on gun rounds when they've had the utility to stop it. They've had the weaponry. That's inexcusable in this Div 1 day and age here in Australian Counter-Strike. I think that's really disappointing for those guys. I think that strong start has really left them in an okay position now, potentially moving on to the second half. They have lost an early frag in this round, though. Dexter, the in-game leader, has gone down. And I think this is now going to be really interesting as we move on to the second half to see how Dexter can really orchestrate his team and maneuver them around the map as the in-game leader to try and, I guess, turn around what is now a close match, turn it back in their favour. Wizard doing a good job of capitalising. 2 frags so far going the way of SQL.
That's right, and this is a very broken Chiefs defense at the moment as we see them just trying to push up mid and catch SQL off guard, but probably enough, SQL were ready for this. Maybe they had some information that we didn't see as the players came out, but now it is Chriso and Burn to try and make some magic happen here for Chiefs, and it is the last round. They're going to go for this, but Dioxide does find Burn and PZ Kid. All too easy for him there, shooting him in the side. Chriso goes down, and 8-7 the score to SQL. After such a blistering start from Chiefs, they really fell away in that second part of the half, didn't they?
Really, really disappointing for me to see the way Chiefs handled themselves when the pressure was applied from SQL. Whilst it's fun to be winning rounds when things are going your way, we saw that they weren't able to stop that momentum and halt the SQL trainers that proved to be great work there from SQL. That fast-paced aggression in particular, just catching Chiefs off guard repeatedly, which was inexcusable in my eyes. We do see Chiefs now on this second half pistol. They've got 5 armor, Jim, but look at the CT aggression.
That is it. They are pushing straight up through upper dark and just shoring it up and making sure that they have total control. And more importantly now, they have the information that it's not going to be a B rush. Even though they didn't commit numbers to upper dark, they had enough there to know that that wasn't going to be the case. Dexter does eliminate Echo in lower dark and at least causes some confusion there for SQL. Now they need to rethink their strategy, but there's going to be a deadly cross here for Chiefs as they try and navigate the USPs. Of course, Destiny does find a long-range distance frag. He does find a second as well. So that Glock on Destiny, I don't know what he's got. He's got a completely different model to the rest of us. The Glock over distance just absolutely destroying SQL.
What was that?
I'm going to have to turn your mic down. You're an absolute menace tonight.
That was the filthiest block frag. He steps around and just casually one-taps Raz and CT spawn. That's disgusting.
Well,
I've got nothing else to add.
Disgusting, but it results in a round win for Chiefs, and they take the pistol. So they've won both pistols so far, and that's brought them to 8-all. And we do see just some upgraded pistols across the board here for SQL. And Chiefs are just going to send themselves long, as you see. 4 heading out to take on PC Kid there. He can do a lot of damage with his P250. He does actually take Mungo with a bit of a bink to the head. And now Chiefs just slowing it down. The CTs are, though, rotating here. They need to check that corner. Wizard nearly catches them out. Destiny goes down to 25 HP. Tech 9 running across that gap. Still finds Raz. And now it is a 5 versus 1. Echo, 2 HP. And you just get the feeling something disgusting is going to happen here as Chriso legs it through short. He does find that frag with the Mac 10. So at least getting some of that SMG Skrilla as they go into the next round.
Poor old Raz isn't having the best time of things in this half, is he? Those last 2 deaths, one with the long-range Glock headshot and the second one through smoke. But I think at the moment, all eyes from an SQL perspective is just on that first gun round.
And that sound you made, just quietly, I am making a PK soundboard. Forget the NAFPL soundboard. It is going to be the PK Noodle soundboard, and it's just going to consist of some absolutely disgusting sounds like that. But in the meantime, it's
I stand by my comments.
It's the Chris O'Ow and Destiny cleanup crew as they just make their way into long. Mungo just fighting a battle for life there in mid. Dioxide just darting in and out through dark, but in the meantime, frags are going down across the board. Mungo has to retreat here though. He's under a lot of pressure. Finally gets that spray.
Good work there by Chiefs. They didn't lose a man on that anti-eco round, and you look back at the previous round, they actually haven't lost a member. If we take a quick look at the scoreboard here, all 3 rounds to start this half, actually, all 5 surviving members from Team Chiefs. So they've done a fantastic job at limiting and minimising the SQL money bonus to start off. We now move on to the first gun round, and they have that AWP in the hands of Raz.
That dank bank, they're making it.
Yeah, well, Raz has the dope scope at the moment, and he is positioned towards that mid-site, but it will be an all-out B aggression here. You can see Dioxide does throw a flash, and it works in the sense that the teams haven't yet found him. He's also standing in a smoke at the moment, and this is absolutely incredible as he does do the drop onto Dexter. Eventually finding him going face-to-face. He did smell his breath in that instance, and he does take him down. Great work there. It has slowed the Chiefs' progress, despite the fact that he only did get 1 frag. Can see at the moment the bomb hasn't yet found its way into the site, so shooting drop. So Echo does take down Chris. Mungo and Dexter trying to recover the situation, but Raz with the dope scope does take him down. Fantastic work.
And that was the most interesting early round exchanges, as both teams just seemingly ran past each other in that B site completely blind. And after the smokes were up, the flashes had faded away. It was absolute mayhem. But nonetheless, Chiefs lose their first round in this half, but Dexter retains that AWP. We'll be looking to make something happen here for Chiefs, but as we see SQL just shoring up long first, controlling that choke point, and then playing that very standard now, 2 in the B site and 3 at A split, with that third person at A making their return to come get their eyes on mid.
You look at the weaponry though, I mean, 4 for masses, you wouldn't know that you'd be forgiven for not knowing the SG won the previous round. I think that's the harsh reality of the CT economy in some instances. But like you said, the terrorists at the moment taking their time, Mungo and Burn working together at the moment, or trying to. It looks as though they're almost bumping into each other, trying to work their way out mid and make sure that they've got crossfires set up so that no one is exposed unnecessarily. Burn checking the spot in which we saw Destiny earlier on in this match when PC Kid was able to rip his head off, but it is PC Kid himself who's in City Spawn a little bit deeper this time. Good HG nade tags down quite a few members. I think the collective damage there was probably enough to justify that nade in that instance. Mungo though does take him down, and a needless push from his PC Kid charged through the smoke, almost trying to go hero mode, and was put to death as a result. 4 on 4 it now stands.
An interesting 4 on 4 too. Raz might catch Destiny here. He does find him trying to get something happening there at that 8 bomb site, but of course now just making their way back through dark. Dexter does find Wizard in mid, so he does go down and is actually fighting another battle there against Dioxide. Dioxide though realizes that the site is open and they need to get themselves onto B here. Chiefs do get themselves into that site. That bomb will go down, but Dioxide's just there at the door. Knock knock, who's there? He's gone. Taken down by Mungo, and great frag there by Dexter in dark. And now forces his 3 versus 1. Raz has that AWP and is just making his charge through the doors, and will try and put a lot of pressure on the back of the platform here. He recognizes that there's a crossfire happening, but Chiefs just playing this one slow and steady, and need not pick here as they've got a good crossfire against the AWPer. Great work from Burn picking out that final frag. Chiefs though, they need to steady this shit. They can't lose too many more rounds, particularly on their T side.
They've done a good job though of resetting the SQL economy. Like you said, I mean, they'd struggled to put together a buy of the CTs in that round, despite winning the previous round, and it just wasn't enough in the end to put up any sort of formidable defense. Great work by SQL isolating the CTs. I mean, PZ did a really questionable decision in my eyes to push through mid as he did and try and make something of that round. Would have preferred to see him play a little bit more passive and potentially try and get that leverage above the smoke if he could in CT spawn, standing on a box or two. But as it is, SQL now on an eater round. They do have a couple of P250s in the hands of Wizard and Raz, but the remaining members on the CT force at the moment, that outfit as it is, will be on pistols. Wizard actually pushing up mid and doesn't catch them off guard. He tried to potentially get that flank on, but Dexter alert to that threat, great awareness there, and could double up here as he spots out. Yes, he does spot out Raz and connect, so nice shot. Maybe a triple in order for him. No, he does miss that shot. PC Kid comes out the victor.
No dank flank. Not yet, but Chriso, of course, is flanking the flank and recognises that potentially he might be flanked himself, so just an all-round round of flanking as they do the dance. And now Dioxide gets himself a gun and T-spawn, and Chiefs are alert to this fact and are going to try and claim it back. They do successfully, but they're going to try and find that AWP of Dexter. They do get that back as well, so minimising their potential losses in an unfavourable situation. But now they're starting to build a little bit of economy. Forgive my jumbled up, but build a little bit of an economy.
Do you even English?
I don't even English. I've been reading Twitch chat from like European servers, but look at this aggression from Bernie. He does find himself with the triple. It's short. Looking for that forward, not able to find it. PZ Kid finally ends his reign of terror and now forces a 4 versus 2. But PZ Kid has an AK here. Chriso creeps around that corner, finds Wizard, and now a 4 versus 1. PZ Kid has that AK and will be looking to save it.
Well, it's going to be a tough ask because they know his position, or at least assume they know where his position is. There's an ace coming raining towards short. Destiny does find him out, but ultimately PCQ wins that exchange. But with the bomb just going down, it means that there's still going to be another, 40 seconds plus potentially 1 or 2 seconds at the end after that bomb explodes with which to try and take him down. So whilst the map is quite big, I don't know if it's big enough in that instance. Perhaps it could be hide and hide-and-seek champion 2016. Should he manage to achieve that feat? He's actually made his way towards long at the moment and gets the frag there, but surprised to actually see him take that sort of aggressive route. You can see it's worked in the sense that now both teams are almost committed to the site, not knowing if PZKid is going for the bomb or not. We can see that he has decided to save. Mungo doing a good job there of actually recovering Dexter's AWP, and he'll hand that back to his in-game leader, former SYF teammate, momentarily as he makes his way down mid.
Maybe we'll take that AWP into the next round. So they do minimise their losses. Not a bad round though from SQL. Just trying to do as much damage as they can. More importantly, PZKid saves that AK and takes it into this next round. And we do see Raz picking up that AWP again for SQL. So he's going to be looking to go up against that scope now. Mungo just retaining it for purposes, I believe, of just having the better mid spawn. But now, let's take his shot and move away. So a very standard round coming out. Default, that 3 lower dark and that mid control now coming out from Chiefs to try and work their way into short.
Well, Mungo's actually kept that AWP in hand, so curious for me to see that Raz. I guess the counter up on the CT side doesn't quite connect there as he falls down, trying to reposition himself now at the A ramp. He does just that as the CTs don't follow up with that early aggression, that Molotov proving the goods there from an SQL perspective, slowing down that A attack. You can see at the moment, Chris O'Well still on the lurk, making his way through lower dark, but his 4 teammates have now grouped up at short. A smoke has been laid down there by Raz, so at the moment, Burn potentially just biding his time, waiting for that opportunity to try and execute onto the side. It looks as though any moment now the flashes will come in. Burn himself throws that flash over, so the entry fragger becoming the support player himself, throwing those nades, gets the drop there onto BCK. Fantastic work there, Raz not having his teammates back whilst he does recover the situation with a nice frag onto Mungo. It's not going to be enough in that instance to try and quell the tremors within the team, I think. PZK a little bit disappointed with the fact that he did go down in that fashion. Echo does find 2 frags, but 3-on-2 it now stands. Chiefs still intent on making their way into the A site. They're yet to really gain that map territory despite the frags going back and forth at the moment. The bomb has now found its way in. You can see at the moment, Chris doing a fantastic job there of covering his teammate, ripping off the head of the offsided. We now go toe-to-toe in a 2-on-2 situation. Chriso, really a lot of responsibility on his shoulders in this instance. He now has to do a 1-on-2 and gets the first onto the Wizard there. So great opening frag. He now retreats to behind the smoke, just playing the time game. Of course, the bomb is planted for him. Echo does have a kit though, but it looks as though the intent here from Echo will be to try and take this duel very early on, and not to know that the nade did so much damage. It was a smart decision to push there as he does capitalise, get that easy frag as it turned out to be, and has enough time for the defuse. SQL, the much needed around 13-10.
Right, just putting pressure here on Chiefs. Of course, they do get the bomb plant. They will stimulate their own economy a little bit, and should be able to buy quite comfortably into this round with all that Skrilla that they have. But this is sort of worrying for me because Chiefs, they start well in the round, but when they get into the sites, they're not quite trading as well as they should. That for me is probably a little piece of advice that I'd be giving to them, that they need to be in better positions to trade one another, because you see at the moment they are just a little bit split up. In fact, Burn has just made his way completely out mid, catches SQL Wizard off guard, traded out quite quickly. Wizard was able to get a bit of a big punch from there. The offside finds 2 before he's taken down himself, and Mungo actually gets tagged from behind with that AWP, so Destiny might be able to find PZKid here. Gets tagged through the smoke, but still finds the frag regardless, as now Destiny's on an active lurk here and will look to disrupt this retake.
Well, the most important thing Destiny knows at the moment is the fact that there's no CTs down in City spawn coming from that B pathway. So at the moment, Chiefs able to just focus their attention on Dark. The bomb is planted in a great spot there behind that tall box, really having a lot of cover there. Raz, though, finds that frag onto Mungo. That Molotov will slow their CT progress on their endeavour to retake at the moment. Destiny almost as surprised as we are to see that all 3 CTs, or 2 as it is now, coming from that same choke point. Dexter there connects with the nade. SQL now have about half HP to play with on each player. Dexter there, great positioning, hiding below the ledge. He stands up, he takes down both frags. SQL's money is reset, and Chiefs now 1 step closer to getting this first map on the board.
1 step closer to getting some initial points in their CGPL season, and it's going to be crucial come the narrow end, the pointy end, the business end of the season, that they maximise every encounter. But still got a long way to go here, as we do see Dexter still retaining that AWP for Chiefs, and SQL, more importantly, are on a pistol bite here, but they've found the first frag in Destiny and eliminated him at long. And PZKid, they know he's pushed through that smoke there. Great work from Dexter. Patience finally getting that frag there as he walked across the top and simply said hello from above. But now, if you look at the overlay, Chiefs have a lot of mid control, but the CTs at the moment are just split. Only one person defending that A site, and they're just galloping through short. Wizard does find Burn, so this is starting to go pear-shaped for Chiefs, but they need to regroup.
Well, they've done that. You can see at the moment they're quickly making their way towards low, but from a CT perspective, they're quickly gathering a lot of information as they've actually pushed that mid here. Echo is my man to watch as he's actually at the top of mid at the moment, you see on the overlay, and he's just relaying that information to his team quickly. Wizard, Raz, and Deoxide almost scrambling to get to that A side, trying to stop that Chiefs attack before it does come down, but some good smoke placement there does allow Chiefs to get across, but it is Wizard there who gets the first, gets the second, and Echo on that flank finally takes down the last member in the form of Chiefs, and in the end, the Chiefs team in the stronger position found a way to somehow seemingly get caught off guard in those sort of situations, despite having the superior weaponry and utility and whatnot. They still lost those duels and were outplayed comprehensively.
Well, that's right. I mean, SQL aren't out of the woods yet, though. I think we must reiterate that because their money is also on the edge. That was a key round for them in that they were able to make that force buy work, but now, as you can see, they've invested in some rifles and dropped those around and shuffled their money, and they've still only got, I guess, less than $500 each in some instances. But now, a very slow and cautious round coming out from Chiefs, so recognise the importance of the occasion.
Most certainly. Chriso there with that P250 just spotting out Dark quite early on. He's actually been struggling a little bit on the scoreboard. We said that he's the experienced head now in the team in their leadership structure, but he's not leading the way yet on the scoreboard, relying on some of the young guns to put in hard work, and at the moment it was Burn just in Dark, just making sure that there is no CT aggression, despite the fact that Chriso had been there a little bit earlier in the round, just double checking, but they're now making their way out mid, and they've already seen them have success doing so earlier on in this terrorist half, and it will be PZ Kid here put to the test. Chriso, wow, they're almost using him as cannon fodder in the sense that he's got just the pistol, but they're almost using him to try and spot out the CT players, and Dexter as it is, and PZ Kid, he takes him down, and Wizard in almost PC himself there, finding a second and third. So great work here by the CT, shutting down that mid attack whilst Burn does get one. Not prepared there for Wizard to step in the doors and caught with, I guess, a nade out in that hand. Quick change in between the two. A little bit of a misplay there from the young player. As a result, Destiny finds himself all alone. No support in the world, and those bullets were all over Destiny. How on earth he did not take any damage, I'll never know, but you can't help but think it's only a matter of time until he takes some damage.
I want my house to be made out of the same steel that those double doors are, because you know that thing's never going to blow over or fall down, no matter the conditions. But Destiny here is forced to go 3 versus 1, and no time at all. He's simply dreaming if he thinks he can get this round. But turning to Chiefs is that they were able to shut down that mid so easily. It was simply just a killing floor again in those mid double doors.
Well, it's because the terrorists didn't do anything, though. I mean, they walked at mid. The intent there was to almost have that crossfire set up from a terrorist perspective. We saw Chris watching CT spawn, Dexter trying to watch to the left side, the B side of mid, but in the end, as Chris backed off, PC Kid pushed through and really exposed Dexter there, who ultimately went down first, and his teammates followed suit. You can see this time PC Kid going very aggressive, pushing through lower dark, and all of a sudden the CTs, whilst they haven't found any jewels yet, they found themselves a lot of information. Chiefs on an eat around despite having Destiny's AK, and they're quickly going to know their positioning here as well. So they do get that flank on. Raz and Echo finding one despite going down now. It will be the Chiefs who are up against it, with all 3 members at long, not expecting that flank from the CTs.
Some really good trades coming out there, because Destiny's been able to retain his AK as well, and the 2 members of Chiefs have actually picked up their own guns, and they do eliminate one of the flanks, but the Oxide here is in a good position to capitalise. He does take down Mungo, so they know that they're being pincered from both sides here, and will need to eliminate one of either if they are going to get onto the bomb site. And they're going to take that challenge up at long here. They do know that PZ Kid is in that smoke. Great frag from Burn, finding the man that was charged with holding that site. And now we'll have to go 1 versus 1. And he does take down Deoxide as well. So bringing up match point for Chiefs. One of the newest additions, at least in the previous iteration of Chiefs, showing that he's one of the most fearsome players, certainly one of the sharpest that we've seen in Division 1.
He's got a lot of talent on him. We saw him in Div 2 last CG season. He was playing for Toronto, and he was, especially in the playoffs, the business end of the season, as you refer to it, he was dropping 30s and 40s like it was nothing. So he's been given his opportunity here in Chiefs and really starting to shine. There were some questions beforehand about potentially the weight of expectations, but no, he's doing a good job for the team. You can see Chiefs, they've got 3 match points at the moment, all 5 members with AKs in hand up against really what is a compromised CT buy. PCG has an AWP, but there's 3 members actually with just pistols in hand, so they don't have to come up huge individually, try and make something of it, and Deoxide does just that, actually winning that duel over Burn just after he's spoken and talked him up a little bit. Wizard there with the quick trade, despite Destiny also getting Echo here. The CTs have almost rattled Chiefs, you can't help but feel, as the bombs in T-spawn. The terrorists are now separated, running back and forth. They're unsure what to do.
It's not all that bad yet. They just need to organise themselves a little bit. They walked into that crosshair of PZ Kid. PZ Kid must have whiffed something monumental there to miss that shot, because that almost happened in slow motion. But they are going to make their way across the PZ Kid again, missing another shot there that could cost them this round. As we see, the T's need to get some organisation going at the moment. They need to hit one of these sites, and at the moment it looks as though SQL have actually read correctly and are going to come head on with the Chiefs here at this A site.
My CS has just crashed him.
Third time lucky as PZ Kid finds that frag onto Dexter and does come in. Slight gap in it though that does favour PZ Kid as he posts up from mid and flirting with death there as Destiny does try and jump that gap. In fact, lands straight into the smoke, but does come face to face with PZ Kid. Finds one, so that bomb will go down in the site. And now Raz just to contend with here as they do find the last frag. 16-12 the score. First map going to Chiefs over SQL. And, well, that match had certainly a bit of everything, didn't it, Nick?
It did. To be honest, though, it's almost left me... I don't know if you can actually see me right now. I don't know if I'm on webcam. Okay, I better sit up properly. It's actually left me almost scratching my head, which was actually what I was doing when I made that comment. Whilst Chiefs got the win, 16-12, as it proved to be on the first map. Good start in the sense that they got the win. There were a lot of question marks and almost a lot of questions that came out of that result for me. I actually wasn't impressed at all by what I saw from Chiefs, as harsh as that might sound. I think that going into the match, I think that the match was ready and poised for Chiefs' taking. I think that I said that they, in theory, have more time playing together. I think that they've got a lot more talent on their roster and a lot more players who have that high-end experience. So I was expecting a lot of them, but I think on the City side, they looked really rattled as soon as SQL had any sort of momentum. That's something we've really noted in a lot of our casts recently, having the opportunity to watch a lot of Counter-Strike from a lot of different regions in the world. We've seen teams who do have that resilience and can halt a team's momentum and grind out wins, but it seemed as though Chiefs were getting overwhelmed all too easily on the CT side at the back end of that half. We saw they lost 6 or 7 rounds in a row at one point, and it wasn't as though the T's were doing anything miraculous. We saw in some instances it was simply a rush B, and that was enough to win the rounds, find these duels. There was no support there for the CT players, so I think there's definitely some stuff to work on for those guys, and hopefully, as the season progresses, we see these guys take the game to another level and can match it with the best teams in the league.
We know that that can be a common struggle of a team and a lineup. Chemistry can be called into question sometimes, but adapting to what your opponent is doing, that sometimes is a very big struggle for a lot of these teams, and certainly Chiefs experienced those struggles in the latter part of that first half. They did start well. It seemed as though when the things, when the flow was going with them, they were quite comfortable. But when they were forced to try and change what they did struggle a lot. So SQL found them out, funnily enough, quite quickly there in the half. I think they got up to about, it was a 6-0 lead. Correct me if I'm wrong. Funnily enough, 6-0 back the other way. So they
actually
won
found
6, lost 6.
Yeah, I mean, one of the contributing factors in my eyes was the fact that Chiefs, we saw them with some really strange decisions in terms of the AWP management for the team. We saw over the course of that match, correct me if I'm wrong, we saw Chriso AWPing, we saw Dexter AWPing, we saw Mungo AWPing for a round. It was as though each player was seemingly just trying to hand it will when they had the weapon or when they were feeling hot, but it just seems that the structure wasn't quite there for the guys. That's something that will help develop and improve over time, most certainly. But for the time being, I think that for a team that's still trying to make their identity, they're still having some teething issues.
Well, more importantly for me, I mean, we did see Dexter retain that AWP. He was probably the one that retained it for the longest and certainly given the best shot with the AWP in Chiefs. Also the IGL, and from our understanding, a very a green IGL as far as we're concerned. I mean, he hasn't really led a lot of established teams, or he might have, had some in-game leading experience before, but to try and lead in a team in Division 1 against the opponents that he's going to be coming up against week in, week out, to try and juggle that with an AWPing role, that's where the team can really fall down sometimes, and we saw that. We saw them fail to make key adjustments, so maybe they need to revise their roles a little bit. I did actually like Chiefs a little bit more when they had Chriso AWPing, so we've identified it before that in previous lineups he's been the key. If he's playing well, Chiefs are generally playing quite well.
It's a really interesting point that you raised. Certainly in Counter-Strike 1.6, it was actually quite common to see in-game leaders that were AWPers. The game style and I guess the mechanics allowed that to do so. It was quite common. But in CSGO, it's actually quite rare. I mean, you think of all the best AWPers around the world at the moment. Kenny S, Guardian, Pasha, all those sorts of guys. They're not IGLs. One of the reasons in our own private discussions between ourselves at the Peanut Gallery outside of casting, when we've been speculating as to what that might be and the reasons for that, as we've suggested that these days there's a lot of responsibility for AWPs. They have to be very, very aggressive. That's certainly the current meta, trying to open things up. Go for those entry frags in particular, some of the European counterpit we've been watching. Those AWPers are almost solely dedicated to trying to open up rounds for the team. And as an IGL, you can't really be putting yourself all too often in those sorts of positions where you could make or break a round, because whilst it could work for you, the downside is that you die and then your teammates have to grind out a round win on their own without their leader moving the chess pieces around the board. So something to think about for those guys. But what about on the other side of the coin, Jim, from an SQL perspective? They've just lost 16-12, whatever it was. What did you like from those guys?
Well, yeah, just quickly to add to your point, I think the only exception to the rules, that guy's an absolute freak.
Yeah.
But what I did like from SQL was their willingness to change the tempo, and that really kept Chiefs at bay and guessing. So against a green lineup like Chiefs, in terms of playing together, it worked. And for long stretches there, it looked as though Chiefs were really struggling because they were. So maybe that's what they needed to go back to, was just changing that tempo. In fact, the rounds that they started to lose, and that's where they started to lose their footing against Chiefs, were rounds where they started to go back to a really slow approach. So they were varying the tempo, but we've said this time and time again, if it's something that's working, why change it?
I have the same philosophy with regards to our casting pairs, to be honest. Every time we go from me and Pete to myself and you, I just shake my head. Why change what's working?
Well, either way, one of us are going to have to carry you, so it's...
I've been carrying you your entire CS career, mate. Over a decade now, okay?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that breaks down laughing on stream, but geez, they're going live into the knife round.
Yeah, good thing for you, mate.
We might just cut some nonsense out of this cast and just cut straight to the Counter-Strike. Guy's lost his mind.
Curious to see how this knife goes. I mean, it's so important on a map like Inferno. I think it goes without saying, almost the unwritten law of Counter-Strike at the moment is that DE Inferno is a very CT favoured map. I think one of the reasons being obviously the narrow choke points that allows that CT utility to almost be worth twice as much as it would ordinarily be on another map, stopping the Ts making their way up towards the bomb sites. And no doubt both of these teams at the moment will be desperate to get their dank shank on and try and have their choice of sides. You can see a little bit of love tapping there from the SGL members, actually knifing each other, given the fact that they haven't really had much opposition yet from Team Chiefs. I think one of those reasons might potentially be the fact that Destiny was actually baiting furiously in that round. I think quite fittingly, he does go down in that instance. I have no mercy for him in that instance. I hate baiting.
All right.
Is that too harsh?
Given that you were in-game leader, someone that's not... There's differences. Of course, baiting is a little bit different to lurking. Lurking is someone that's following the strats, following the orders. Baiting is someone that's, well, generally, Pete. Let that one resonate.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure that sunk in. But we will see SQL, who's studying on the CT side. We'll see if potentially they are working as a unit like we suggested, and hopefully all 5 players on the same page. No baiting, no lurking. All lurking is acceptable. We will see SQL there. They've actually opted to buy 4 armors. PC Kid here having that smoke grenade and that kit to try and potentially save the round in that clutch situation. You can see from a terrorist perspective, though, despite Dust 2, where they had that 5-block armor train this time, they have a few nades to support them. And Burn at the moment trying to stand up Banana. We saw him do that to great effect when he was over at Taipei, representing Chiefs of that Asia regional minor. It's great effect in some really outstanding opposition and trying to continue in that same vein at the moment. He's forced the CTs here to keep 2 members at that big site, not allowing for any sort of rotation back towards A, which is where the attackers come in. Dexter now actually making his way up mid. We'll get the drop there onto Wizard. Great awareness, recognising the potential, but Raz was just actually trying to draw them out and act as a bait. In the end, he actually proves to be their downfall as he rips off the head of 2 players and turns that round back in their favour. Fantastic individual play there from the ex-Legacy player. All of a sudden, Chriso, who was at B earlier on, now finds himself in a 1 versus 4. He has the bomb, but he does spot out the shoulder there of Raz, and in the end, it's Raz just insists on showing a little bit too much skin. Chris puts him out of his misery, now moves his way through DD. I'm not sure if he actually spots out the big toe there of Deoxide actually hiding at Graveyard. Potentially, it might be the death here of Chriso as Deoxide just biding his time. He hears that bomb planning noise and steps up, gets the frag. Sequential starting out the stronger here.
But they did. I got a little bit excited there. I thought Raz actually got the triple and was about to be disgusted by what happened. But nonetheless, they do take that pistol around there. Sequential, they made it look too easy. I think some miscommunication there from Chiefs as they actually did let fly in the chat that were we supposed to be committing? I think that was just a communication error. As we said, the teething issues that new teams can experience, but they are going to group up in Banana here and try and work their luck at B by the looks of things.
The Terror's actually investing very heavily into this round. I actually like this as a strategy on the second round, especially as a Terror side here on Inferno. I think it's so important to try and get back on winning ways on the Terror side. We know how hard rounds can be to come by, and I think trying to invest with that quasi buy on the second round is actually quite a good strategy on this map. I think the close quarters often favour the Rec 9s if you can get in the faces of the CT's Wizard there. Though it does support out Destiny in mid, playing quite passive at the A side, but does a good job of inflicting some damage and retreating to a safe position back there at Library. But T's Gym, they're just biding their time before they come into the B side.
They are, and the round is now on a timer, and they are going to test the B bomb site defense here as Echo does get tagged down a bit at those coils, and they are felling them as they enter this site. The trades are coming in left, right, and center. This is working out for Chiefs at the moment, but it's important that they secure this post plant. Those grenades can do a lot of damage for poor old Chiefs if they do show, as Dexter shows, a little bit too much shoulder there. Deoxide taking him right down. HPs for Chiefs are starting to be whittled away, and you get the feeling as though this retake is just starting to go SQL's way. That flash means that Wizard steps on, but Chriso finds a reply, finds a second there one in Dexter, and now it's just Wizard to try and make this work on 8 HP, and up against the 10 HP of Dexter. They're doing the dance around the box. The Michael Flatley impression comes in, and of course that goes the way of Dexter. Great one-on-one clutch there. They wrestle the lead, or they wrestle this match back, 1 apiece. Great reply there from Chiefs. The B actually worked quite well.
Perfect response. Dexter, the IGL, doing a fantastic job, like we said, of really utilising that pistol, and then he was able to actually salvage an SMG. I do believe it was actually a MP9, I think it was in that instance, but doing a fantastic job in any instance of getting those final frags, closing out the round despite being on very low HP. From a CT perspective, though, you can see their response. They've actually invested themselves trying to retaliate and get back on winning ways instantly. Now, this is a very big gamble in the sense that only Wizard actually has a rifle. The other 4 members have actually gone with pistol armor, P250, the weapon of choice at the moment. It looks as though the CT is actually just opting to play quite passive in the sites, relying on the strength of those weapons as opposed to necessarily overwhelming the terrorists with some surprise play.
There's nothing too flash, nothing too fancy, but of course the T's are just biding their time, grouping up. Chriso finds that entry there onto Echo in B, but they're not committing, and smartly so. They're just going to try and see whether or not they're forcing the rotation out. Destiny to the top of pillars here has some information. And shortly pick up Wizard as he does find that frag. Takes a lot of damage while doing so, and they have 2 members of SQL committed at this B bomb site. Raz is just staying strong. Does survive long enough with the triple box there before Chriso finds a double with that Glock, so I'm really making it work, and they are going to take this B bomb site eventually, as now we see poor old Deoxide. He's going to try and salvage himself a gun there. Should be able to get a Colt and at least save that.
Well, we've just seen, I guess, the best and worst of Counter-Strike go, haven't we? I mean, in 2 successive rounds, we've seen one team in the form of Chiefs force buy into it, make it work, and reap the benefits. And then the subsequent round, SQL tried to repeat such a feat, and ultimately they now find themselves in a horrible position where, despite Deoxide's best efforts here, and he will save that M4A4, it's really going to leave SQL in a horrible spot where they're now going to have to eco at least once, if not twice. I mean, if we look at the scoreboard quickly, this want to point out Wizard as an example doesn't have any money in the bank at the moment. So for a team that desperately needs CT rounds, Jim, they're now on the back foot in terms of the economy game.
Right, and it is a rough drop sometimes the T side on Inferno, so it's important that you get as many rounds as possible. And more importantly, from Sequential's point of view, it's important that they don't let their opposition get too many rounds on that T side, because eventually the tables will turn, and they're going to have to try and, I guess, go through that grind themselves. It is a grind to Terracide on Inferno.
I actually really hope, for the sake of this match, I think for all the audience, and I think even just for the sake of trying to have a good match of Counter-Strike, I hope that S2 actually, as soon as they can afford to buy, actually get on a bit of a roll and get a big lead here in the first half on the CT side, because I think that'll be really interesting to see how well Chiefs can handle the pressure. At the moment, that's the big question mark for me. We can see Burn doing a great job at getting the first 2 frags there, but as Dexter follows suit onto PZT, this will be another round going Chiefs' way. They'll move up onto an MTA bomb site, but I think looking at their roster at the moment, we've already pointed out the fact that they've lost Lightstep, one of their experienced players. To me, they don't have that leadership in place now, and I'm not sure, looking from the roster from 1 to 5, who would be the man that I'd be counting on potentially in a sort of 14 or 15-14 scoreline, who I would know would be able to find me a frag as an in-game leader. I'm just not sure who that would be at the moment looking at this roster, and I want to see them tested. That's the only way they'll be able to answer that question themselves. So hopefully we can see a nice close match here. SQL will be able to afford next round, I do believe, Jim. Despite the score being 3-1 Chiefs.
I mean, contrary to popular belief among some analysts, you can actually learn a lot about these teams by watching them.
Yeah, well, I mean, to each their own.
To each their own. But look, they are just going to try and save these weapons out for old SQL at the moment. They're just having a bit of a tough time, as we said. Chiefs just looking very strong at the moment on the T side and just making the right judgment calls and hitting the right side. So important that they continue that momentum into the next couple of rounds.
It's funny, it's almost as though, I mean, we commented on Dust 2 about the fact that they weren't really trading frags very much. We said it's a very large map. It's almost quite ironically the fact that Inferno being so small, it's almost forcing the T's in the form of Chiefs to play so close to each other that they are making those trade frags when required.
But they are, and it's a big difference from map 1 to map 2.
Well, that's not going to help Mungo.
That is definitely not going to help Mungo, as he tries to establish himself in the team by grenading not only just himself, but Chriso as well. So not an ideal start to a key round for Chiefs, as they are going to try and wrap this A site. Wizard does find the first frag, so already he's starting to defend this site quite successfully, but he doesn't communicate to his teammate clearly, as Deoxo was just sitting in the open. Destiny finding a frag there at Diggity. The bomb, though, has been taken down outside the library, so it's already in a very compromising position. So they're going to need to try and retake that bomb and then get themselves back onto the site.
You can see at the moment Dexter just trying to make that wall of smoke there to allow Destiny to recover the bomb. I think despite the fact that Wizard would have heard those footsteps, he was almost too low to try and retaliate, but in the end he pushes out and punished as a result. Really foolish play in that instance there, as Wizard gets taken down with no chance of any sort of retaliation from his teammates who weren't close enough to support him, and he didn't have the HP to make that play work. Raz there on the flank through A apartments. Does hit the frag, and Echo actually converts onto Destiny as well. So all's well that ends well for the sake of sequential gaming there. But Wizard, despite getting 2 frags, really, or 3 frags as it proved to be in the end, really, I guess, left his teammates potentially with their hearts in their mouths for a moment there.
That they would have had their hearts in their mouths, because important round there for Sequential. A lot riding on that, particularly for the next round. So they do, of course, secure that win bonus and starting to build their economy. We do see it all coming into PC Kid, so we know why Inferno can be a bit of a grind as it is with that those close quarters, but he's going to take that AWP to Banana and going to try and control it. That flash, though, means that he has to take a shot, and he's traded out quite quickly from Burn, so that's great work from him, great aggression from Chiefs early, taking control of Banana, and Echo does manage to find a reply, but that Molotov means his teammate is actually cut off in Banana. Raz, they know his position, does get taken down, so this is going pear-shaped very quickly for SQL.
Destiny, I mean, I think he actually would have heard those footsteps as well, as Deoxide actually retreating back to the CT arch side, and Destiny does spot him out now, confirming his presence there. Gets the frag. Great work there by Chiefs, and those early frags and that pressure that Bird and co were applying. I think Chris O'Well as well in Banana doing a great job of forcing that CT rotation, and Destiny and Dexter now capitalising, as it is Dexter now, the IGL, who's gone up mid. Strange to see them actually still committing to this B side now here. Now, this is danger sides. SU actually have both members stacked at the back of B, and if they're not careful here, Chiefs, they could walk into a double stack and could ultimately fall. They do take down Wizard, but they're not expecting Echo there as well, so what can he do? He lets the first go, takes the bomb down. Now, crucially, 45 seconds left. The time's still in favour of the Terrorists at the moment in a 2-on-1 situation, and plenty of time to try and create that double angle attack. Echo here dancing around the fountain dust, but Unfoes takes him down, spots out Burn as well, and can't quite convert, though. Ultimately, the young gun ex-Trident player who opened up the frag does win that round for his team.
That was very, very scary there for Chiefs. They didn't check that back corner. I mean, They assumed that the terrorists, or the counter-terrorists, sorry, was split between the two bomb sites. That wasn't the case. They actually walked into the only bomb site that was guarded at that point. But it was just a few moments there where you thought as though they were taking the wrong fights. They were peaking individually against the last remaining counter-terrorists, and that's dangerous. But as we could see, SQL have actually stacked this B bomb site, and that Molotov does a great deal of damage and is going to force poor old Dioxide out into Banana. Just get taken down, unfortunately. He was going to either take that fight or be burnt alive. Now, a lot of damage being done. They're still going to persist with this B bomb site stack, though.
He actually stood in that Molotov until he was down to 14 points of health, at which time he decided it was probably time to move. So, I mean, he's right. It was time to move. Maybe if he'd made that decision a few seconds earlier, it might have set him up better for the round. Chriso doing a good job of getting one and a second frag there.
They're just rolling through now, Chriso. And, well, the other two counter-terrorists are sitting in the site, so they need to be really careful here. They've lost 2 members already. PC Kid is still alive in that B bomb site, but Chiefs navigate their way out of that one. 5-2 the score. T-side Inferno, they are making a go of this.
Yeah, CT's unable to really string 2 rounds together at the moment is what we've seen. And whilst we did see them start out the Dust 2 first half in a slow fashion as well, like you said, they were down 6-0. I think at the moment, they're really just getting outplayed for me. I think in Dust 2, they really hadn't come to the party, but at the moment, it just seems as though their decision-making isn't quite on points from SQL's perspective, and they're going to need to try and turn things around very quickly. Like you said, it is a CT-favoured map, and the T's here moving their way up mid with a lot of early pressure, only 1 minute 35 on the clock, so 20 seconds down, and the T's already committing to mid here, and they've already got the drop there onto Wizard. So the former Chiefs player himself has been taken down the Oxide here at Dignity, hiding behind that truck, trying to do some damage. You can hear a lot of T's coming his way. Easy Kid also communicating that fact. He does find a double, spots out another couple, even a third there. So the Oxide recognizing that there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, does a fantastic job of doubling up. All of a sudden, Dexter finds himself in a 1 versus 2. The bomb is down in the middle of the site. He will have time to recover it, and plenty of time to try and play the angles here, but is he going to be aware of this A Palace flank? That's the question. He actually turns around, not aware, but in the end, he still has time to recover as Razzy is not able to convert that frag, but Echo, good timing as he does step out from Lyron, gets the drop there onto Dexter, who had his back turned appropriately, trying to take that duel.
I'm not too sure that was a palatial flank, but still, it came from carpets.
What does that even mean?
You've never heard the term palatial? Oh, Noodle, you have much to learn.
I know what a pallet is.
Dear, oh dear. Nonetheless...
Is that related?
No, they're not. Palace, palatial. Anyway.
Oh, got you.
Dear me. They are going to take themselves into this round with that early banana control SQL. So they've done enough to keep Chiefs at bay. And Chiefs at the moment are just trying to wrestle back control. In the meantime, though, Destiny does catch PC Kid at the top of pillars there, doing a lot of damage to him. Not able to secure the frag, though, as he does take him down to 6 points of health. But we'll show a little bit of mercy and back off. But if we look at the overlay, 3 members of the Chiefs are actually making their way up to pillars, and they're going to continue to pressure this A site. And as you can see, just looking at both sites, Chiefs are just playing a bit of a bullying game at the moment. They're trying to bully some utility out of the counter-terrorists. It's working over at the B bomb site, but of course, they're going to have to contend with the rest of the round without their smokes.
It's a really passive setup for me, though. I mean, on the overlay, if we take a quick look, you can see how deep into both bomb sites the CTs are playing. There's no chance at all of a rotation. Potentially even Mungo and Dexter here on for a mid to B split if they get the drop there onto Wizard. As it is, the bomb has now been recovered by Chriso, and he makes his way up towards A. Wizard has gone down, and I'm wondering here whether an A attack is going to be imminent, because all of a sudden they now find themselves in a 4 versus 2 situation on this A bomb site. Destiny converting onto PZ. It's all left up to the Oxide now in the pit. He spots out one, gets the frag there into Destiny, but Chriso quickly retaliates. Great job there from the unfragged member. They're always a fun prospect of playing their matchmaking, I'll have you know.
We're not going to mention their name here. They have no place in Australian Counter-Strike.
Fair call, fair call.
But Echo does hide a gun, strangely. Not too sure why he hid a gun from a fully bought Chiefs team. But nonetheless, I'm sure he felt a need. I'm going to try and save that AK of his own. Hiding at the top of Banana there. Interesting spot, but Chiefs just on the hunt at the moment. Nick, what does Sequential need to do here? They're looking very shaky on their counter-terror side.
At the moment, they're playing a really, really responsive CT side. That's probably the word that I'd choose to describe it. And I'll explain that in a moment. I just want to see if Echo does save his gun. He gets the first, and he will save it. Great work there by Echo. By that I mean we saw how passive they were in that sort of mid-round situation with 3 and A, 2 and B, which is fine, but they were really, really deep in the sites. We saw that at the moment, or in that sort of situation. There was no chance of a rotation. They were all almost forced into 1v1 duels, which ultimately they lost. Chiefs on fire at the moment. I'd almost like to see them go aggressive on Dust 2. That's where they had their success. Remember on the T side, they were winning and taking those duels. Really was the aggression that was catching Chiefs off guard. And CT Inferno, you can easily go aggressive banana.
Those grenades have done some phenomenal damage to Chiefs. As you can see, the HP is so low, but Raz just charging out into Banana there. Does find the first frag, looking for the second. And it's only Chriso, our half HP, who's trying to stay alive at the moment. He does have that SMG. That Molotov means that he has to move forward, but luckily for him, the CTs have relinquished control of the B bomb site, and they're going to concentrate on A. And they're just going to charge and roll through, all four of them. An angry mob of counter-terrorists trying to take back that bomb site. Bomb will eventually go down. Chriso, though, is still sitting in Banana, thinking that potentially he's kept them in the B bomb site. Little does he know that... that grenade doing a lot of damage, but little does he know all counter-terrorists are just waiting. Ready. Putting a bit of pressure there on Diggity before he's taken down Raz, and Wizard does find one before he gets taken down himself. Echo, though, has an AK, and in 2 versus 1 is opting to save.
Funny little double stake there. I think Echo actually jumping onto the head of his teammate. It might have been Dioxide potentially in the smoke there at mini pit, and with that AK in hand, potentially trying to get that leverage above the smoke to catch out any terrorists in the side or in the pit that weren't suspecting a CT to emerge from the top of the smoke. But Destiny, aware of that threat, does take down the man at the bottom of the boost, and you do see Echo forced to reposition himself. He's found a hidey hole there in CT spawn, and he will save that going on to the next round. But Chiefs at the moment, 7-3. They're looking really strong, and I think whilst I was quite critical of their play on Dust 2 despite them winning, I'm actually liking what we're seeing from them now a lot better. I think the fact that they're moving in packs, there's almost at least 2 people there at any given choke point at any one time. The trading is much more effective, and it almost is though the map style, I think is what I pointed out before, is helping their play at the moment, almost forcing that teamwork out of them with the smaller size of it.
Some early aggression here from SQL. It's just being punished. That Molotov burn, are you okay? Well, he needs to check his opponents to see if they are okay after being burnt alive, and continuing that aggression there. Does get taken down by Echo, but Raz is able to find a reply. Chriso does find a frag of his own, and Raz is just burning in that Molotov. In fact, he smokes off one, not aware that he didn't actually smoke the entire Molotov off himself, and now only has 12 hit points due to that error. In the meantime, though, Chiefs have concentrated themselves on this A bomb site. Dioxide is going to be called into action.
Mungo actually finds Wizard there though, so the CT Arch Defender has been taken down. Dioxide, like you said, it's more than just action. He needs to really hold strong here because he doesn't have any sort of support to speak of. Raz actually in the B side at the moment, but the attack is definitely coming, at least initially, towards A. But look at this. I think Mungo and Dexter doing a fantastic job here of reading this defense really well because they've swindled their way through the Speedway, heading towards the B side at the moment. If we look at Raz's setup, you can see that he's not actually going to be expecting this sort of CT presence. His eyes are pinned on that off angle there, and Dexter steps around from CT, gets the drop there onto Raz behind that fountain. Fantastic work there from Dexter. Raz just not aware of that threat at all. I think that that's just a consequence of the fact that there are only 2 CTs and so many different spots to cover. In the end, Dexter, I think quite fittingly, gets that final frag to finish off the round. But as it is, Chiefs making fantastic calls and fantastic reads in all different stages of the round.
Yeah, they are making great reads. That's exactly what they're doing. And I mean, at the moment, too, what they're doing is contesting Banana early on. And that's, well, it's quite worrying for SQL because they're sending 3 members there, tying 3 CTs up early on and trying to wrestle back control. And they're not having much success at all. That Molotov is simply just stopping them from getting any territory at all, and it's a great approach. As PZ Kid picks up Chriso in the A bomb site, Destiny takes down Dioxide, and Burn is just standing strong at the bottom of Banana, making sure that the CTs get no territory at all. Destiny is out on the balcony, just find PC Kid, and just the last terrorist remaining. He's taken down quite quickly by Burn at the B bomb site, and Chiefs is starting to really run away with this.
They're looking really strong at the moment. I just want to say though as well, I know you asked me before what perhaps a suggestion might be for an adjustment to Sequential, and I suggested aggression. The subsequent round, they went aggressive, but they actually pushed 4 members out Banana. Now there's a difference between purposeful aggression, where you're trying to take a choke point, and just committing silly numbers to different choke points. So I'm really confused by the play now coming out from the CTs. Just taking a lot of gambles, And at the moment, they're just not reaping the rewards. You can see they have gone back to a 3-8-2B setup. Chiefs, for the most part, actually walking up mid at the moment. And you can see how stacked this jungle, or this diggity side of mid is, but they've done a fantastic job of navigating that by laying down those smokes. And 3 members have actually made their way around. So it has been taken down, and Dexter might actually follow super. Great shot there. He should have died, but great reaction in any case, capitalizing off a bit of a whip there from the GPT. And see that Dexter, as he doubles up for the round, they're doing a great job at the moment of really exploiting what SQL are giving them. They've now got control of the A bomb site. The bomb will now get planted, and they're in a 3-on-2 situation.
Well, that bomb eventually does go down, and giving the counter-terrorists enough time to make their way up nice and close quarters. Dexter finds his 3rd for the round, so I know we criticised him for picking up that AWP, but he's making it work and clearly comfortable in that role himself. And it's working for them here on this Inferno. Maybe it was just a case of blowing out those cobwebs on the first map dust too. As Destiny does take down Raz, and 10-3 the score, really streaking away to a commanding lead here, Chiefs. And this is going to be a tough knock for SQL, particularly in this second half. As you can see, they're not even really able to buy properly into this round. They're going to force the issue just because they're down by so many rounds. I don't mind that from a team, but they're going to have to be purposeful, as you say, in what they do in this round.
They've got 3 from Masters. They've got the UMP in the hands of Raz, which unfortunately for his sake does have an M4A for, but at the moment, I don't think the CTs really have an answer, to be honest, and I'm not actually sure, as strange as this might sound, if S12 really have a read as to what Chiefs are doing. I think that could perhaps be a reason why they haven't come up with an answer. We can see the Chiefs have really done a fantastic job of moving this one. There haven't been too many fakes. Destiny, they're actually strolling out the boiler room. It's dropping easy hits, so everything going their way at the moment, but that pack mentality working so well for Chiefs, and S12 rotations haven't been fast enough to really support their teammates when those attacks have come in. Burn has found his way, as ever, to the top of Banana. He's done that to great proficiency. Not just tonight, but also in recent history. He is now just listening away, potentially watching for any CT push. But his teammate's actually the top of mid at the moment. But looks as though maybe Jimmer B splits coming their way. Raz, key defender here in the CT arch. Yeah,
interesting though, they're taking the bomb through the arch. For me, that's something that's not normally done on a B split here. But Mungo does come into contact there with Raz. The UMP, look at taken down in the arch now. Going to split onto this B bomb site. And there's only one person there. Echo at the back of the site with the FAMAS to try and defend. He has one single flash and I guess a dream, and the dream we know is free. So, does find the one frag there. They know his position more importantly. He's giving up the game there, and in the meantime, Mungo finds that frag. Christo's actually able to find another frag of his own over towards that A bomb site, trying to get the rotation and prevent that rotation from coming in quite quickly. But Christo just checking out that APC, finds that second frag onto the Oxide. So good round from Chiefs. Again, another correct read against SQL, and SQL, as we said, really struggling.
Chris having a monster half though. Look at the scoreboard at the moment. He's got 17 frags, but also 8 assists. So he's been doing so much damage, even in situations in which he hasn't been able to get that frag. And for a man that I think was at the bottom of the scoreboard at the end of the first map, he's really come alive here and showing how sharp he can be when his aim is on.
Well, we've said that when Chiefs look good, Christo looks good. So it's going hand in hand here. As now again, that B banana control comes in from Chiefs. And it's just as simple as a Molotov, as they do take some frags into A. Destiny finds another one onto Deoxide. And Dexter has taken a lot of damage, but more importantly, he's cleaning things out. He's being that tradable person into the site, and that bomb will go down. And again, poor old Echo over that B bomb site. It's just a recurring theme for him, unfortunately. He's watching the world go by, as he does find Destiny at the top of mid, and now has to contend in this 3 versus 1. HP could be a factor on Burn and Dexter, but Chriso should be the one looking to play clutch. He needs to get his way across this Molotov. He does pick up Burn, looking for the second, and this would be certainly a morale shift for the guys if they were able to get this clutch. So he does make his way around the truck. Does get caught, takes Chriso though, and somehow that comes down to a 1 versus 1 with 3 HP. Dexter guiding his team to a 12-3 half, but wow, if they would have lost that, surely some questions would have been raised.
I think a keyboard would have been broken, to be honest. I'm not sure how Chris didn't get that frag up to just talking up how well he played, and then he whiffed that completely. But all's well that ends well. As we do say, Chiefs, they're great first half. It goes without saying. I mean, 12 rounds in any case, but T-side Inferno, that's just absolute gold for those guys. Now, I'm really interested to see here, from a Chiefs perspective, whether they can actually close out this match quite quickly. Normally, I like to see it's a great question mark for teams as to whether they let it slide or whether they get their hammer on and stomp away Burn there. I think that's your answer as he finds 1 kill, and Dexter actually hiding behind the sandbags. Now, what can he do? He's actually connects on the first, does get the second, and spots out the third, doesn't quite get the frag, but has the information that SQL are coming their way. So that fast B aggression actually doing quite well for SQL, given the fact that Chiefs had 3 members stacked towards that site. You can see at the moment, Mungo connecting with the headshot through the smoke onto Wizard, and he hasn't had the most frags this map, but that'll do. As the VAC chat comes out from my code commentator, we do see Trisso at the moment moving his way through, so some good teamwork here coming from Chiefs as they're flashing for each other, trying to check a lot of different angles here, but time is ticking. You can see Mungo has the kit in hand at the moment, so it's his job to get on that bomb, and Trisso actually doing a great job. Echo there. I don't think, despite the fact that he planted that bomb himself, he was aware of really the angles there that would be present to him as he stepped around from that CG spawn line and realised that, wait a second, I can't see the diffuser.
Pros don't fake. Strong. Pros don't fake. If that's what we've learnt, is that pros don't fake. And, well, with the kit, it makes it a lot easier because you only have to cover your teammate for 5 seconds. And really the only angle that he could have come from in that instance was covered. So, great work there from Chiefs. So, secure that pistol round, that Goblin in Banana not being checked at sandbags, really costing their deal in the end. As Dexter finds a triple, looking for the 5th as well. Does find it quite easily. So, this is just a sign of how well he is playing at the moment and really relishing this leadership role in the team.
Notice the change of the difference in approach there from the Terrace, though. I mean, we saw in the second round from a Chiefs perspective, when they were on the T half, they actually force bought into that second round. They did win that force buy, and as a result, they got onto such a roll there. We said that that's such a good thing often on Inferno, given the fact that it's a very small map. The pistols can be so strong at close range, but from an SQL perspective, they actually opted to eco. They fed Dexter, as it proves to be, with came up with the goods there with a nice team down, and they look forward to this round now, but they're quickly running out of opportunities. They find themselves down 14-3. They do have 4 rifles in hand and a UNP this round at least, and Echo moving his way up B, but Bird actually cops a team flash there, so unlucky for his sake, the timing not quite there as Destiny in the end gets the frag in any case, but Bird proves that he is much more menacing when he can see, and connects actually quite heavily onto the upside, and oh, he was spamming away what could have been. Has time though to reload.
And the T's are trapped here at the moment. They're committed to this big bomb site. They're stuck in Banana, and Burn just picks up one with that P90. Of course, now Wizard is making his way into that B bomb site. Destiny is quite low, though, so that flash blinds him completely. Great work from Destiny, picking up the double with that MP7. And, well, match point here at Sequential. They need to try and find a way to defend 12 match points on the T side of Inferno. I know the word impossible is thrown around a lot, particularly when PDG is casting, but...
every single sentence.
Look, I hate to put it beyond them at this point, but from what we've seen from SQL, it's not looking too good at all.
I don't think I can tell a positive story here in which they could make this comeback happen. You can see the intent of the Chiefs. They're trying to finish it now, and Christo's already got the first, but Dioxide and Echo, for the time being, just perhaps postponing the inevitable, but in the end, the Frank's still going the way of the CTs and Dioxide. All he can do is watch as Mungo lobs that HE grenade down mid. In the end, he does catch it with his teeth. The CTs win. Chiefs walk away with a victory tonight, 2-0. They take the first map on Dust 2, 16-12, and then claim Inferno with a little bit more ease, 16-3.
Yeah, it was a really one-sided affair there with that second map. As we said, they really failed to get going, and if there was any indication of just how one-sided it was that Chiefs started on T side. So their T side getting them out to a 12-3 lead.
And lost the pistol.
So they really made mincemeat of SQL in that instance, and I may need to rethink my predictions, particularly because, as we said, what we saw from SQL really wasn't convincing in any fashion at all. It was a team that, unfortunately, lacked a lot of inspiration in key moments.
I think they lacked a lot of structure as well. I think I was quite honest. My assessment coming into the match, I think I did say that I thought that they would be a team that potentially have the talent and perhaps the burst of potential to take a map here and there over the season. I think they do will probably find themselves maybe 2/3 of the way up the ladder by the end of the season, but I don't think that they'll be up there with the best. I think that probably the more structured teams and perhaps some of the more talented teams will find ways to win out over the course of a BO3 series. I think the longer format will certainly help those teams in that matchup, but I mean, we certainly saw it glimpses there on Dust 2 in particular, that SQL had what it took to win those duels and really had that initiative in the rounds. In the end, though, Chiefs came out strong. Really liked what we saw from them on Inferno. Well, it was quite harsh against what I saw as some misplays there on Dust 2, but I think their Inferno performance was a lot more convincing and a lot more promising. I think that as these guys play some more Counter-Strike, the better they're going to look. So really looking forward to the coming weeks of this pro league here in Australia.
Yeah, as we said, it's a time of a real shake-ups too within the scene. A lot of teams are going to be asserting themselves in the CGPL season. So we've got a lot of key matches on our hands over the next couple of weeks. So there is another match to be played this week of our matches in the first week of Division 1. I do believe if we have a look at the schedule, I'll quickly, that it is actually the Incept versus Citadel Gaming. So that match has been moved across, I believe, until tomorrow night, at least the coverage of that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure whether the match was moved or potentially just the coverage. I have a sneaking suspicion that it might just be casting off a demo, as much as I don't like to say that. But in any case, we'll focus on what was a fantastic matchup tonight. It's been a fantastic start to this week here of the CGPL season. We've already seen almost every match played out, not just in CGP, but also in some of the lower divisions as well. And already it's proved to be a really close fought competition. So really looking forward to what this Mwave CGPL Autumn 2016 has in offer. But I think that that'll probably do us, because I'm absolutely wrecked after starting my morning at midnight to cast European